Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about few hooks, how to use them. So, we discussed about working with various types of React hooks. And so, in this, the built in hooks you have seen how to use effect. I'll give a summary of yesterday's. We learned use effect, use state. So, use ref, use context. So use memo and use callback. Use callback. So these are the built-in hooks that we learned. Few important built-in hooks. Some questions also we discussed. Now let's see one small example. I will show a basic implementation. I will give just idea. You have to implement. I will not provide entire solution. I will just give the idea. In the example you need to implement that project you have to do. And if you have any doubts in implementation, I will check any issues are there. So I will just guide you in using them. You have to use them. You have to design the entire project with that. Okay. So here I will show one simple interaction. So this is our project. So in this project, let's keep the main the same to do index na. We will make to do index in the startup. So it must start with to do index and let's run API. Another one is run dev. Okay. Now, once we do this here in this example, so we already have some details with some additional logic. I will clean up in details these additional things what it is having in login page. These all additional hooks that I added. I'll clean up this because I made some changes into them. And from where this is coming, use API. So this is in login page. What is this under new register? Formic we remove now. So in the dashboard or home page. Okay. I will clean up this one. So we don't want these additional logics that we added previously. Use fetch data and all not required. Fine. So in our previous to-do application, So when user logs in with 1, 2, 3 and login, the dashboard will come. Now here, how we implement the modern hooks and all, how to use them. Let's see what we have to do now. We will go to the details page here. First point, we are loading appointments. When we are loading appointments, later if we filter sort appointments, then all these appointments are loaded every time, again and again. That means first appointments are loaded on which event? Mount now. On mount, they are loaded. After that, when you do some filtering, searching, sorting, they will load again. That means later we will put dependencies here. Then what will happen whenever changes, it will load again. That's not good to load the appointments from the API every time. So what to do? We will give this load appointments not as a function. What we will do here is we will create a constant and load appointments. Constant load appointments is equal to, it is configured as use memo. You configure that as use memo. Use memo. Better, I will clean up this one. Yeah. Actually, how we write use memo is load appointments is a function which need to be cached, and whatever request you are making, every time it has to get from the cache. So what you do, you create use memo. Into that use memo uses a callback, and it will have dependencies. It will have dependencies. What we need to do, fetch the data and use them here. That means all the Axios related, fetching related logic, we will write by using what? Use memo. We will do that by using use memo. And calling that use memo means that function is same. So when it loads, it will call and execute. But what is difference between previous and now? Previously, you are writing a function which executes every time, fetch the data from API every time. So when you make a request, but now it is going to fetch the first time and keep it in the memory until any appointment is changed. That means what is the dependency? Appointment. If any appointment newly added, any appointment is deleted, or any appointment is updated, this will memo again. Memo again means the fresh list will be collected and it is stored, and it is stored in which location? User appointments. In user appointments, it is going to do. This will improve the performance. Let's see, is it having any changes? You see here some issue is there. So what is the issue here? I'm having an option like, you see, load appointments is not a function, and it is saying that component is not mounted yet, right? So why load appointments is not a function? So here, as of now, dependencies, I'm not giving any dependencies. There is no point here. Observe, load appointments is not a function, it is showing. Where else we use these load appointments? So here in this, so we are not using load appointments any place. This is load appointments now. So that means you see the data is coming here and displaying. and it is accessing the data and displaying the data. And see what it says here. Component hasn't mounted yet. It is not mounted and you are doing some action. So what is the concept here? These appointments, these appointments are automatically loaded. How they are automatically loaded? We are not calling them now. So here in the use effect, we need to actually call that appointments. What is it? Load appointments. We need to call the appointments here. We need to call the appointments. When we call the appointments, then it should load. But it is saying that it's not a function. So, but when I write use just load appointments, directly it is loading. So what is the concept here? So why it is working like this? Because I told you that use memo is working like a use effect only. It is working like use effect, but it will memorize. Actually, it is not a function. It is an actually what is the point? Yesterday difference I explained between memo and callback. Memo returns the data and callback will return a function. So you see it is already returning data. It is already returning data, but we don't want to return data. I told you now you cannot set state at the time of creation. You remember the point now? We have to set after mount. You have to set after any event. So here memo is not good because we want just only this functionality to happen. We don't want to return the data. Only that functionality it should execute. And what is the error? Very clear. It is saying that use memo is not a function. Obviously, it is not a function. Use memo is data. Na? Who is function? Use callback. So here, which one fits correctly here? For loading and calling, we have to use not use memo. What we have to use? Use callback. And use callback, it is a function. And now you can see that the data is as of now here, you can see the data is there. And how do we call this? So we need to use, what is it? Load appointments. We need to define like this. That means what callback function have to do is it should load the appointments. I sign out. I entered some user ID. So, okay, some David something. So David at the net 123 and login, it will get that. This time the performance is better. Why? Because later when you search appointments by ID and all, and you pass the data here, it is going to load the appointments not from the actual API. It is coming from the buffer. The cached data is there. It is going to use it. So technically, how we can handle use callback. Now, when to use memo? This is use callback. We have used use callback in this application. Now, when to use memo? Use memo is nothing but, for example, so you are having a logic of reading all appointments. All appointments are coming and displayed. Now, what we want to do is we want to filter the appointments related to that particular user. That means you see this is filtering the appointments and returning user appointments now, right? Now it is filtering the data and returning the data. This filtered data also we need to cache. The filtered data also we need to cache. So if you need to cache the filtered data, that means filtering the appointments and loading into these appointments. So what we will do is here we will create another one. So we will create a constant. We will say user appointments. We will create user appointments. So is equal to set what? User appointments. We are using user appointments. So what should happen here is equal to what is it? Use state. It is initially I given just as an array. I'm just giving array. Now what should happen is the filtered details also must be stored in memory. It should get that and use it regularly. That means what we will do, whatever data is filtered from all appointments, it is getting particular user related details. This we will cache. The result we will cache and we will use it. So how do we do that? See, we can try like this. No need of any state. If we want, what you can do is here, you can create a constant let, and if you want to assign anything later, otherwise you can configure as what? Constant. So what we will do, so we will create as user appointments. We will use user appointments. So what this user appointment should contain? It should contain all the filtered appointments of that particular user. So what we have to do, read all the appointments, filter the appointments and display those appointments here. So what we have to do, so here I will remove here. Now what this Axios method is doing is set appointments. It is using response dot data. So what Axios is doing? Axios is getting all appointments now. All appointments are collected and I stored in user. They are stored in appointments. Now in that I need to filter only the appointments that belong to that particular user. Then what we have to do, and we need to remember that details until they are modified. That means some new detail is added. So what we will do, use memo, and use memo uses a callback function. And as I told you, according to yesterday's syntax, this must return some data. Na? It should return the data. So what it should do, it should take. That means it should return what it should return. It should take all the appointments. In the appointments, it will perform what? Filter. It will perform filter. It will read every appointment, and it will check appointment dot user id is matching with whom? Cookies of what? User id. So what this is going to do, this is going to return the appointments of that particular user. User related appointments are returned, and those appointments are stored in this location. That means what is user appointments? User appointments contains the list of all appointments of that particular user. What is difference between previous and now? This time we are caching all the appointments. We are caching that particular user related appointments. That means now what we have to do, these user appointments, we have to filter and present. That means in the table, it's not appointments dot map. This time what we have to do, user appointments, sorry, user appointments dot map, because user appointments contains the list of appointments that belong to that particular user. That means now it is going to show only that particular user related appointments. Now you can see it is fine. So it is not showing why? The cookie problem. So here appointment dot user ID is matching with that particular ID. So currently which user is there? Let's check. So David NIT 123 login. It's empty. Let's check the application cookie is coming fine. User ID related appointments. So let's check in the data. Do we have appointments that particular user? db.json we have na is matching with the appointment. So let's check why it is not displaying. So we will go to details. Use memo has to work with appointments and what cookies. These are the dependencies we have. Whenever appointment changes cookies. Yeah, dependency is missing. Now it is fine. Because what should happen whenever user logs in? Whenever user logs in, a cookie is created. Whenever a cookie is created, that cookie related appointment should come. That means when it will get the next set of appointments, whenever any change in the appointment or whenever user sign out and sign in again, then what happens? The fresh list will come and it will store in which location? It will store in the location what? User appointments. So we made previously also our application working, but we made our application now production related perfect. This is how in real time you need to fetch the data. And very important is every functionality you change into this. For example, this is details page. In details page, we implemented this. Let's go to the dashboard. In the dashboard, for example, we are having a sign out now. So handle sign out. This sign out has to remove the cookie and it should remove both the cookies and it should navigate. This functionality also should be cached. Then it will improve the performance. How you will cache the functionality is same. What we have to do constant handle sign out is equal to so now this logic, yeah, so handle sign out is equal to use callback because it should execute a function and load the function in memory na? That means here it has to do all these activities. That means sign out sign in related any logic you are writing which need to remember some information and use it later, then always better what you have to do define using callback. And this should again execute whenever which one changes here? Cookies na? Dependency is what? Cookie. So that is the best way of writing the functions. That means now when I click on sign out, the sign out is working fine. Only the point this time we improved the performance. All events which needs to handle some data, then better always use callback. And any data you want to use repeatedly across requests, so better you use an memo. Why not use reference? Use reference also can store data and function. So the difference is use reference cannot change according to dependency. So use reference can load only the data. It cannot have dependency. Use memo and use callback can have dependency. So this is the first thing you need to implement. I hope you are clear. So what changes I done in this to-do application with these hooks, I will give a point. You need to put them in that project. Okay. Let's see. So changes in to-do application. Already I given you this project on GitHub and in that what changes you need to do. So first what you have to do is go to do details.jsx. So what you have to do, that code already I will post in the location, just syntax I will give. What you have to do is previous. So we have a function load appointments. Now new is we have a constant load appointments. So in that use memo. Here access to load all appointments. First you need to write all the appointments. This is one change you have to do. That means use, so here use effect, what it should do on use effect, it must load appointments. This is common, there is no change there. Huh? So we need to do this. Another one is previous logic is in previous code load appointments is filtering you filtering data, filtering user details. Previous load appointment is filtering user details. Remove filter and load all appointments. So here in the new, what you have to do is constant user appointments is equal to, sorry, this is callback. Huh? Above is callback. Here it is use memo. So here what you do, appointments, here it should return appointments dot what filter. Rest of code is in your project. Just syntaxes I am giving. Now one more what you have to do in the new. So load user appointments in table. That's what you have to do. So user appointments. Here dependency is what? One is appointments is dependency. Another one is what? Cookies. So user appointments dot map. So here we need to do. And you know that it is going to return appointment and a tr now. So the table must contain the user appointments that you have cached. So where to use these options. Now, one more you have to do. Second, you need to make change in the go to do dashboard .jsx, and here one small constant, we have a handle sign out. This you need to configure using use callback. Means don't write like a normal function, define as a callback. Here sign out logic. Here cookies. So here, because we are using nested routes, parent and child nested routes are there. Now, what is the concept is, see, what we need to do is this code I will automatically push into that GitHub. You will have that updated code. So what changes I made? I'm just giving syntax here. Now, what you do after this, initially, wherever you return events and it needs some data to handle, replace. Everywhere replace with which one? Use callback. Use callback. Okay. Now, next, one more technique is there. See, when user logs in, the dashboard is coming. Now here, when how we designed in this is actually, if you remembered, dashboard is, this is the parent dashboard area, and this is the child, that is the child component, child route. It is coming as a result of outlet. We designed that. Now, when anybody is searching here, that means if anybody is searching here, yeah. So if anybody is searching here in parent, whatever data entered, it should be passed to child, and child should display only those. Am I right? Now, how do we transport data from parent to child? So you can use props if it is a controlled component. If details is a controlled component, then you can pass through props. If it is not a controlled component, then you can have a context. Here one specialty is there. If you are using parent and child routes with an outlet have context memory. Outlet inbuilt is having a context memory. That is very good. You don't need to create a context. You can use the context of router outlet, and we can simply use that context. That is good. So we can use context manually if we are not using any child routes. If you are using child routes with outlets, what is specialty here is, you see, this is outlet area, na? Right? Observe here once. If it is the outlet area, go to this outlet. Where is that outlet in dashboard? This is outlet. Outlet is having a context. Outlet is having a context. In the context, you can pass the data. Now the question is, that means it is having a context memory. That context memory will be served to all the components that run inside that outlet, inside the outlet. That means now from the context, what should I send? For example, I want to send a search string. That means here I will create a constant. What is it? Search string, uh, like a state. Search string is a set search string, and use state. Search string is initially empty, and this search string I can pass into the context. So I can pass search string. That means now from the parent component into the child, we are passing a context here. We are using this context. And very important is, okay, how the search string will come. What we have to do, where is the search bar? This is search bar above. In the dashboard, this is the search bar. Na? Here we have to write which event? On change. You can write a event function, or you can temporarily define like this. What you can do, you can declare a E. E will get the current event argument. Na? So it can directly set search string. So it can set search string. Into that, it can pass E dot target dot value. It can pass the value. So if your functionality is very simple, it doesn't require much actions, then you can directly do this. What is the original way we done in a lengthy way is first write a function called handle search change and collect the target and store the value. Anything is fine. This is good if your event is using simple actions. If your event is using complex actions, then what to do? Better you create one function called handle search change, pass the data and use all the actions. Because in the interface, if you are writing so much logics, that will be difficult. Because later if I want to write a if condition for loop, you can't write here now because JSX will not allow that. So it will allow simple actions. You can directly do this. Okay. Now what we are doing is we are having a context memory for this. We are having a context memory, and whenever you type anything, that is stored in the context memory, and who can access it? The child is this details page na. Okay, let's go to the details page. This is the details page. In details page, what we need to do is here we have to collect the context na. Context is already present, data is sent, we have to collect the context. Here you have an option called use router context. There is a router context. So use router context, you can see use context is there. You can see router context is there. And you have a outlet context. Currently we want which one? Not router context. We need an outlet context. We need to get the outlet context because in outlet you have a context. We have to access it. That means now what we are doing here is roughly I'm creating here. Let's create a reference. What is it? LET. What is that search string? Is equal to use. What is it? Outlet context. Into that outlet context. So you are just passing the outlet context. We will check what it is coming with. That means in use effect, I will log that one. So console dot what? Log. What is that search string? We are logging the search string. That means just we are logging the search string and checking whether it is coming or not. Okay, so see here, let's go to inspect and let's go to the console. Okay. And let's check here. I am typing something like some project. And when you are entering that project, that details are not sent here now, right? So why? Because see, the context, we are changing the value. Whether the value changed is collected or not, first you console that. I will put here. Let's go to the dashboard. This is the dashboard. And what is it? Search string. So it is configuring that. And we have a console.log e dot what? Target dot value. So let's refresh. I am typing here project, that is working fine. So this data need to be sent to the context. Let's go to the dashboard context here. This search string we configured like an object. And here we will access that. You see there is a search string object now. And what is the search string object? Contains project. That's working fine. That means the search string object is coming. This is one object is coming. And you know how to get the object related values now? Right. So this search string object is there and it is empty. So what we have to do? We have to collect the object here now. Let's go to the details. This is what type now? Where is it? Search string. This is an object now. We are expecting one such string object. So what is the context here? It is currently undefined. And when you present, it is going to get that. That means the data is perfectly coming from the parent to child. Now, if it is coming, now what we have to do here, we need to display only those. Am I right? That means we are accessing and we are displaying this here. Just roughly we used it. Whether the data is coming or not, we are defining it. So in the dashboard, what they are doing in the dashboard, here a such string is entered and here a such string is passed. And we don't need this now. The such string is coming. We have to just use that such string there. Okay. So you can write in a lengthy way, but this is the shortest option we are having. Now, what we have to do, how to filter the details in details? How to filter the details here? We need to filter the details. How do you filter the details? Last session I showed you now already. That means here, this outlet is expecting data. Data coming from where? Suppose it is expecting from such string. Context requires some context name to define, right? So it is not mandatory that you have to define the context name. You can leave it empty, but whatever data comes here, you need to present the data here. Then how we present the data? Currently, it is showing user appointments. Na? That means what we have to do on these user appointments, we need to apply a filter. So what is that filter? So here you have to write the user appointments and this filter this time have a condition. What's the condition? If the such string is empty, right? Here I will just give a logic. So what is the condition? If what is it? Such string is equal to empty. There is no such string. Then what it should do? It should load all the appointments. Na? So otherwise what it should do? Else what it should return? What it should return? It should return the appointments and it should filter. Am I right? Filter. What is the logic you need to write? Here you need to write the logic for verifying title matching with search string. Understood? Huh? These you have to write. Okay. I am not writing because already I showed you. It's your job now. If there is any problem in your implementation, you can show me, I will correct it. But this all you have to do now because already in last session I showed you how we can filter and display. How do we search by title? Get the search string, verify whether the search string is present inside the title of that appointment. How? By using includes. By using includes, you can verify and return only those appointments. You have to try that by using filter. So now what it will do? It will display the appointments that are matching with the filter. I will wait 1 2 days. I will check whether any of you have done that or not. Otherwise, I will push the actual code with solution. I will push it. You can check. Okay, but this you have to do. So what is new here? The new is if you are transporting data from a parent to child in a route architecture, then you have a predefined context for childs. So that means the parent can have a context. That context can be sent to the child that renders inside the outlet. That means for nested routes, there is a context memory. Router library has a context library. So how to define point I will tell you. I will post a solution completely after 1 day. First you try, then I will post the solution completely. You can check that. So here what else we need to do now? One more important here is here, yeah, filtering to do appointments by title. Here what you have to do is filtering to do appointments by title. So first thing is, so to do dashboard, yeah, dashboard. To do dashboard a search box, has a search box. So you can access data from search box and store as search string. So for that, what changes you need to do? So this is search string, set search string, use state. It's an empty one. Huh? Next, what you have to do is in the text box, you have on change directly. So you need set search string e dot target dot value. So another important point. So to do dashboard is a parent route with outlet. So what is the advantage here? So every route outlet have a default context, has a default context. Every route outlet has a default context. So what you have to do, outlet context, you can send an object search string. You can send multiple details. I'm just using only one. Actually, we have search date, we have sort, search string, search date, all you can send here. I'm just using one. So how to access this now? Go to do details JSX and import outlet context. Outlet context. So you have to import use outlet context from, it is in React router DOM library. Search string, so you can get use outlet context. Right, that is outlet context. So one more you have to do, change the logic in user appointments filter. Logic in user appointments filter. What's the logic in user appointments filter? So you have to just, it is actually constant. User appointments is equal to use memona. It is a memo. In that, what you have to do, if search string is empty, then what to do? Load all, filter all. Else filter and return the appointments that match title. Appointments that match title. So if I haven't used any outlet, I designed with normal route, then how to pass the search string? From dashboard to details, how we can pass the search string? You can pass as route parameter. We learned route parameters. We can pass as route parameter. You can pass as props if it is a controlled. You can pass through a context. You can create a context and you can use that context, right? So you can use any of these techniques for doing it. Depends on the requirement. So you should do this part. Okay. Next what? Next important is, so here you have seen two more new things, how a router context is used. That means you don't need to create context. There is a context and you can implement that context for such activities, right? Okay. Now one more interview point wise option is there. So here you learn one more, but this is not a built-in hook of React. Use outlet context. It is related to React router DOM. It's not a React hook directly. It is a router hook, router related hook. It is actually. Okay. Now, when you are working with the hooks, you have two more important things for interviews to remember. You have seen use effect. So in the hooks, we have number 8. Okay. In the hooks, we are having another important is we are having use layout effect. We have a use effect and use layout effect. In recent interviews, these type of questions are very common. So what is use effect? What is use layout effect? So what is difference between them and when to use them? You don't need this every time. Actually, I will tell you the basic flow. That means the basic flow. First point is uh, use effect. Use effect hook executes after the paint phase. Use effect hook executes after the paint phase. That is important. And if you learned HTML, you know what is a paint phase in HTML. Na? So generally, you learned HTML parsing, how HTML is translated in browser. The basic process, how HTML is translated in browser, that's you learned when you learned HTML. Actually, how HTML is translated in browser is, we teach this for our HTML people generally. This is how HTML is translated. Actually, this is the process how HTML is translated actually. First, what happens? Developer writes a markup. Markup is written bold, hello, something like this. That markup is not understandable to browser. Generally, what people will tell you, why you learn HTML because browser understands HTML. That's wrong statement. No electronic device will understand any normal language. It can understand only binary codes. So that means even HTML is not understandable to browser. When you write any HTML, it is translated into bytes, binary codes. These bytes are converted into characters, angle bracket, B, close characters. Those characters are converted into tokens. Tokens, we call them tags. but actual technical name is token. There is no tag actually. So they are converted into tokens. Tokens are converted into elements. Tokens are converted into elements. Elements are arranged in a hierarchical order that is called as what? DOM. After DOM, it is undergoing a process called layout. After layout, it will undergo render. After render, it will paint. The result of paint is what you see on screen. What you see on screen. Use effect. Actually, use effect is a hook, so which works here. That means after paint is completed, then component is mounted. That means the component mounts once the paint is completed. Paint is completed, then mount will happen. That's a general HTML thing. Now, it is good for all the activities like fetching data, presenting the data, everything is very good. Now, here a layout is created, na? Layout is created, DOM is created, and the layout is created. When the layout is created, we want some, like you can say, while creating the layout, we want to adjust the media screen width and height. You learned CSS media queries, right? We want to adjust the window height width according to the device. We want to do some animations with the window. All such activities you can do in this age here, in this phase. After paint is completed, it cannot fit for media. Before the paint is completed, you have to make it fit according to the device. All media queries in CSS work here. All the media queries that you write in CSS, they work in which phase? Layout. They work in the layout phase. Every HTML page has these phases. Only the point is, so you can see here, suppose a normal HTML page is there. This is an ordinary HTML page. In this HTML page, so I am writing B, and observe carefully, I write just B hello. And what you can observe is, see, have I written any hierarchy? I haven't written any hierarchy, but you can observe that in the inspect, it has a hierarchy. That means I am not writing any hierarchy. Where to display this bold hello, I haven't mentioned, but it knows where to put it. Why? Because if you want to see what happened in the background, go to performance. This is performance tab. In the performance tab, click recording button. This record button, you click it. Okay, it is recording. While recording, once refresh the page. That means load the page. After that, stop the recording. Then it will show you all the phases. You can see in that there is a phase rendering, painting, loading. Usually, loading happens after the painting phase, na? And the component mount is loading. Component mounting is loading. That happens after the paint. So that means internally it will render, it will paint and perform different. If you want to adjust some CSS, you want to put some animations, you want to adjust according to screen, you are writing some styles, those need to be applied for your containers like divs, sections and all. Then better don't write them on use effect. You write them on use layout effect. Use layout effect. So in React applications, you can have use effect, use layout effect. Any style binding related to layout. Not all styles, because already we learned so many style binding. Mouse move, some animations. I showed you some style binding. General style binding we do after loading dynamically, but some styles which you need to control the layout, width, height, scrollings. all such activities are defined by using which one? So that means what is the purpose of use layout effect? Use layout effect is a phase that will work between these two phases. That means use layout effect will execute before render, before paint and after render. And when use effect will work? Use effect will work after paint. After paint. Use layout effect will work after render, before paint. That is the location. Generally, we use this for setting some media queries. We use for media queries. We can do that actually. Suppose you see, so just roughly, for example, when we are working with our dashboard or any area here, so we are working with the dashboard. I will remove all the temporary logic. So in the dashboard, this temporary logic I will remove. I just given that for your reference sake. Okay, everything is fine now. Fine. Now what you have to do here is, suppose you want to adjust the width of this layout according to device. You want to add some media query scrolling. You have a table now. So the table, for example, if there are hundreds of appointments, then what you can do, you learnt already in HTML, you can make it scrollable now. And do you know what we can do is, with a simple logic, we can make the appointments again load from the same place previously where we left. That means there are 20 appointments. You watched up to fifth appointment, scrolling up and down, you go to the fifth. Now, next time when we load the dashboard, it can start directly from 5. We can directly start from 5. That means how we can do is, we can control the scrolling and all. Actually, what we do in the details, we can add a hook called use layout effect. This is same like use effect. It is same like use effect. You have a use layout effect. But in this, what is the code recommended? The code recommended is related to the DOM rendering. That means here you can write, so document dot query selector. We can access what? Table. For this, we can apply style. So style width is how much? So that means I can put some width as 100 VW. That means viewport width. Viewport width means screen width. That means what is the point is, actually these type of styles you can do in another way also directly. You don't need that. If you want to access the table and put let table na, so let table is equal to, you can access it. Now for this table, you can apply the styles. You can apply the styles. You see scroll height. So there is a scroll height and it is expecting some value. So how much height it should scroll? You can define the scroll heights. These are related to, suppose I given as some 20 pixel something. Actually, we will use other values also then. But what is the point is, this is going to execute before the paint. After the render, before the paint, it is going to execute. If I write these in use effect, it will not perfectly affect. Why? Because already layout is generated, presentation completed. After that, you are adjusting, that may disturb your application. It will work, but abnormal in work. Some browsers will recognize, some will not. This is not suitable for the situation here. It is not suitable for the situation here. But just I showed you the point, how we can manage. Right? We can put for the situation, we have to calculate how many appointments are there. get the latest appointment height, and according to that put the height, right? But what is the purpose of use layout effect and what is use effect? The difference is very important. Use effect executes after the paint phase, and use layout effect executes after layout, after layout, after layout render, and before paint. After layout is render and before the paint, it will work. So it is good for handling layout, UI layout related interactions. So you can use this one. So simple, syntactically it is same. Use layout effect. So here styles to control layout. You have to define the dependencies. There is another hook also, but it's not required for our applications. Very rarely used, very rarely used. So that is very good for adding some libraries into your app before it mounts. For example, you used MUI library. Na? MUI library used a special new library. I told you if you remembered. What is its name? MUI library is using a new library in the latest version called Emotion. It is using Emotion. That is a special library of JavaScript which is designed for animations. Which is for animations. Such libraries, if you want to include and use in your application, some additional libraries you want to inject and use them, there is another hook called we have another hook called there is a hook called so use insertion effect. It is very rare, but it is used. It is used in very rare situations where we need some CSS graphics animations to be added or any JavaScript additional libraries to be added. Actually, your libraries like Moment, you learn Moment, na? Moment is using this, and MUI is using this, Material UI is using this. That means they are using some additional libraries. Those JavaScript libraries are going to use this to inject anything and see what is insertion effect is. This is generated before the layout. What is layout? After layout, before paint. Before layout, you want any action to perform. That means some plugins like JavaScript libraries you need to plug in and use them later. Then you have to plug in which area? Insertion effect. Use insertion effect. So this is required for inserting some plugins. That means just roughly I will give a point here. Another one is use insertion layout. Insertion effect here. Use insertion effect. It executes before layout. So it is used to plugin external JavaScript libraries into component. So MUI uses emotion, moment uses date and time, etc. All these are defined using this. Syntactically, it's also same. Use insertion effect. It is not regular, it is rarely used here. So for component, we will say. So that is now next important, another major, as I told you, use reducer, Redux, how to use reducer and Redux, that we'll see tomorrow, right? In tomorrow session, we are going to see about reducers and Redux. What is Redux? What is reducer? How they work? Why we need them and how to handle them. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right. Yes, Swati.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good
Uh,
evening.
Sir, now in the React components, like we are importing multiple libraries, right? Momentum, all these things.
Uh,
So they all will be supported, the libraries during the mounting phase only, sir. Otherwise, uh, internally, like how it
I
works.
can't understand your question. What do you mean by supporting?
No, sir. When we are importing, suppose we want to use the momentum
Uh,
library. So we'll be adding that import statement in the React component, right? While using.
hmm, hmm.
So, during the mounting phase, they all will provide the
Now,
support
before
network.
mounting itself, they are loaded. No? I given a component life cycle. Yes, last session
Okay.
I explained a component life cycle. I explained in which phase they will load also. What will
When the
happen
component
while
is created,
creating?
component object is created, then
Uh,
it will initialize the variables.
these all are loaded.
Okay.
Okay, while creating, it will load. Usually any classes will load their members when an instance is created, no? Right?
Okay. Yes.
This also same. While creating component, these all are imported until or unless if they are lazy imported, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.